God, I don't want to talk to her. Not tonight. But it's nearly midnight, and Winter's calling me. I answer the phone. Hello? The son on the other end of the line is crying. Winter, are you okay? Hello everyone, I'm Brett, and welcome to Winter. I am getting out the content warnings real quick at the beginning of the video. Content warnings for sex discussion, anxiety trauma, skull imagery. Let's begin. Act 1. I got to Act 3 and then I realized I didn't fix OBS to actually record this window, so we're gonna go a little bit fast. 2 years, 4 months, maybe a few days, over 100 miles. Why is she here? Why is she at this party? I didn't move here just to avoid her, but, well, it was a contributing factor. I didn't expect to see her here tonight. I'm not prepared. Run away. I'm morbidly curious. I can't bring myself to run away. A moth drawn to a miserable flame. Say hi. There are enough people to whip between me and her that I can get a bit closer without feeling obvious. She's standing by the window, dancing in a low-energy way. I have no idea what I can say to her. Hey, sorry about before. I didn't mean to scare you. I miss you. Perhaps I would be better off just throwing myself to the floor. God, she's smiling. Maybe she doesn't even remember me. Just chalks me up as another weirdo who wanted to fuck her. Oh God. Oh God, she looks happy. He's touching her waist and saying something, and I'm just standing here thinking about whether I'm a creep. Maybe if I was still a guy, then it would have been fine. You expect that kind of shit from a guy, right? She's touching him back. I can't watch this. I feel sick. I can't watch this. I'm out of here. Hey. Someone's talking to me. I turn and look at her. I think her is right anyway. There's no face for me to tell, not that it's necessarily reliable. I just sense an energy despite the matte off-white bone that stares back at me, deep dark eye sockets and a pallid skull. Maybe my drugs have started fucking up again. I shouldn't have drunk. Want to get out of here? Do I know you? Not yet, but I know you. I can see the shadow that follows you. And you can see me too, can't you? Girls like us should stick together, you know? I don't want to stick together. I don't want to talk. I want to go home and feel sorry for myself. Like us? It takes one to know one. You pass very well for someone functional and right. If you hadn't started nearly crying when looking at that girl, then I wouldn't have even known. I love your boots, by the way. You don't know anything about me. No. I don't answer. For a moment, she clears her throat. Never mind, I have wine. A whole bottle, see? She holds it up conspiratorially. Somehow I get the impression of her winking. Why should I go anywhere with you? She sighs and looks over her shoulder. This party sucks, and you look like you want to cry. Let's get pissed and vent together. Fine. Let's just fuck off already. I don't want to cry anywhere where everyone can see me. Her jaw opens slightly in a horrible impression of a grin without skin. I know just the place. Then we're on a bench in a quiet section of the park I didn't even know existed. She opens the bottle of wine with practice, checking the cork over her shoulder, and takes a swig. When she hands it to me, there's somehow lipstick on the rim. I drink. It's not very good wine. I take another swig. So, what's your name, girl with two shadows? I hand the bottle back to her. Meredith. I brace for a laugh, but it doesn't come. She cocks her head to the side and makes a noise. Nice name. Cute. Old-fashioned. Bit of a mouthful to say every time, though. Mary, maybe? She takes a swig of wine and pulls a face. No, Mary doesn't suit you. I'm gonna call you Red. You're not. She looks at me, some sparkle visible in her eye sockets. I think I'm getting used to her lack of a face. Almost. Whatever you say, Red. Why were you about to cry back there? I think I haven't hit her just because of the sheer amount of I think I haven't hit her just because of the sheer affront of her questions. Why should I spill my guts to some random faceless girl in the park? I still don't even know your name. She waggles the bottle of wine at me teasingly. Give me that. She lets it go without protest, and I raise it to my lips. You said I don't know you, Red, and maybe you're right. Excuse me, stop that. But I can guess. There's something about yourself that you can't live with. Some part that you think abhorrent, to be hidden away from sight. Only hiding it inside wasn't enough. You could feel it in there still, burning away like a hot coal. Some hot, black little lump inside you just like a smoldering heart. You hated it so much that one day you wrenched that fucker free from yourself. And ever since then, you've told yourself that you feel better. But you don't really believe that, do you? It's not a good absence. It's not like excising a tumor. It's something more vital. You cut out your heart, and now it beats at the door of your soul. She stops talking as I stare, dumbfounded, bottle of wine still raised halfway to my lips. Rummaging in her coat pocket, she pulls back out a pack of cigarettes and lights one casually, clamping it somehow between her teeth. That's how I feel, anyway. And my name's Winter, so now we're uneven. You gotta tell me about yourself now. Fag? That's how the British people say cigarette. Something like that. She laughs and drops the cigarette, managing to catch it just before it hits the ground. Well, excuse me. Break it up, girlies. No. Something like that. So you do have a sense of humor. So go on then, drink and talk. I take another swig of the bad wine whilst I try to process what she'd just said to me. I feel like she's told me some secret, sticky part of herself, but like she's told me nothing at all, too. The girl at the party was not really an ex. I black out as the shadow talks through me, giving its own monologue. When I snap back, Red is finishing her cigarette. And I mumble the last few words, and we haven't really talked since. And now she's happily dancing with some guy, and I'm gotta drink more wine. I take another swig of wine. It's still awful. I hand her the bottle and bring my knees up to my chest, heels resting on the edge of the bench. So, where does the shadow come in? I fully expected to cry, but Winter's constant pushiness isn't leaving time. I'm angry that she keeps asking, and spiteful enough to tell her. I wonder if she'll call me a slur too. Is that what you're afraid of, Red? Well, what is it that you're afraid of, Red? Traction, lust, myself. Traction. I'm scared of what I wanted to do to her, still want to do. Not just her, but others. Girls I knew before, who I see maybe once and just think about idly. Girls aren't meant to have these thoughts, are we? Especially when we're trans. We're meant to leave that behind. Just be nice and, receptive, inoffensive, and unproblematic. But I think about how I want to touch her, or hurt, or fuck her, and I can't do it. I can't do it, but I want to. I feel like I'm trespassing, unwanted and imposing, but I can't stop wanting to. And what used to be just some awful black part of my heart has just grown and grown until it was always there, looking over my shoulder. I'm scared. I'm scared of the part of me that follows. I rest my head on my knees and try to keep myself very, very still. I've said too much. I've been too much. The urge inside to stop either moving forever or else... the urge inside is to either stop moving forever or else to flail and throw myself into the duck pond. Before I can commit to running away, Winter takes a deep breath and nods. That's wild. I look over my knees at Winter's expression. She looks pleased. That's wild. I mean, we're almost exact opposites, you and I. You're scared of being attracted to someone and everything that entails, and it's being attractive to people I can't stand. I don't know how to make myself feel vulnerable or to tolerate someone's eyes on me. What's that phrase? The mortifying ordeal of being known? I want to, but there's armor I can't take off. Baggage that I can't put down. I look at her as she talks, her body language shrinking and the casual arrogance from earlier falling off like melting snow. She cradles the wine in her hands, bottle nearly empty, and laughs. You know what we have to do, Red? I have no idea what we have to do. We should help each other. We're complementary. You have a hang-up about attraction to people, and I don't. I can show you, teach you, and you can show me what it looks like to be comfortable in your own skin, comfortable being looked at. I uncurl my legs and look at her, processing what she says. You're not suggesting we date after talking for 15 minutes? Not dating, just helping each other. I have someone I like already, and I want to be attractive for him, and you have someone you like, right? The girl from earlier? So if that relationship could ever happen again, could or should happen again, I've burned that bridge, and I've known that for a long time, but I want to reconcile this part of myself. Something about Winter's intensity makes me trust her. Makes me want to trust her. So I say it. How do we do it? Winter leans down to put the bottle of wine on the ground, out of the way, and then she reaches out to me. No. She reaches out to my shadow. I can almost feel when her fingers touch my other self's cheek, like a memory of being touched or a whisper of a breeze. Can I kiss you? Yes, no. Kiss her first. Thought flashes through my mind, climbing on top of her and pinning her to the bench. But I could never, would never. I know I'm not meant to feel these things, and then the shadow takes over again and I black out. Act 2, we're catching up to where I was when I realized that I didn't fix the freaking OBS. What do you mean you don't cook? Winter shrugs and pours herself another glass of wine, cigarette between her teeth. I just don't. If I eat proper food, I buy it. I like restaurant food. I look at her dumbfounded. She must be spending as much on takeout as I do on rent. How do you afford it? We aren't all broke PhD students, Red. I'm not that much of a stereotype. I only spend a day a week on studies. The rest is programming. You should take it up, honestly. Pays great. You think I'm a stereotype? Really? We both are, that's the joke. Girls like us, we're broke or we're programmers, or both. Or baristas, I guess. Back when I started transitioning, maybe that's getting too personal. She slowly waves a finger at me to tell me off. Besides, you didn't come here to criticize my cooking, did you? Well... She shakes her head at me in mock disapproval. Tell me what we're doing this time. She takes a seat in the depths of her sofa, sips her wine, watching me. There's this girl. I tell her about Lily. I met Lily I tell her about the girl in my lecture who sat next to me twice now and asked me out for coffee once. They haven't gone yet. It's tomorrow. And what do you want to do with her? As I talk, we start a little dance again. I can't remember how many times it's been now. 6, 7, maybe? The memories of each visit are so hard to pin down, just wisps of half-remembered touch. Winter lets me talk, and as I do, she performs whatever I say on my shadow, the fuzzy half feeling of it rippling through me, as if muffled through cloth. She never seems self-conscious as I tell her to do things to do, never questions them. But I never let myself look at her for too long. Gradually, my shadow starts to change. It still seems like me in a silhouette, but it's like there's another person layered over. I have the horrible feeling it's Lily. Part of me feels guilt for this play act we perform, all mixed up with the guilt I feel for having feelings in the first place. I thought maybe it would start to go away after we did this a few times, but it's barely made a dent. Instead, it just feels like I made Winter culpable for my desires, too. Which feels... Winter senses something is wrong and turns her attention from my shadow to me. Do you want to stop? For a moment, it's difficult to talk with her fingers in my mouth, but the fog clears and I remember she's still only touching my shadow. No, I don't want to stop. No, maybe? As I say no, I become increasingly sure I mean yes. Winter draws back, kneeling in front of me on the bed. Kayfabe has been broken now, and I can see the three of us as if from above. My shadow and Winter backing away from each other like guilty teens caught in a cupboard, and myself watching the two of them from barely a foot away. The clothes Winter picked out for me barely register, until I realize I'm cold. I've been cold for some time, and never noticed. You don't seem as into it today. I don't know. I don't know about all this. She looks at me for a moment and then starts hunting around for her hoodie. You don't think it's working? I honestly can't answer. It's difficult to even know what I think. Everything feels like muddy water. I curl my knees to my chest and sit like that for a moment on the bed. The underwear Winter gave me digs in at the sides, making it harder to breathe. Do you really feel like it's helping you at all? She turns to look back at me, unsure for a moment. Am I getting anything out of this? Does watching you be comfortable with feeling attractive help me? I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel anything about it either way, but I don't say it. Winter's eyes are hollow as she looks at me. They don't burn. It's difficult to tell. Knowing someone else can do what I can't isn't having the revelatory effect I thought it might have. I laugh into my knees and let myself unfurl again, lying down and looking at the ceiling. Winter sits on the bed again. When I watch you fuck my shadow, it's like there's some quality that you have and I don't. Like someone gave you permission to feel those things, and that makes it alright. I hear her take a sip of water and sigh. I suppose you gave me permission. Maybe that's all it is. Glad you can feel that. You think so? I know what consent is. You think so? Yeah, maybe, but it's not just permission to feel good or to take what you want or impose. It's more like one party, she gives permission to the other so they can feel vulnerable. She looks away. Is there a difference? What if they don't do the same? Is there a difference? Yeah, Red. It's not the same thing. It's not the same as being vulnerable. It's not the same as feeling safe being vulnerable. And if you don't get to feel that, you don't get both. If you don't get both get that, Then you have something deeply imbalanced. One person bearing their soft little heart and the other stepping on it like a snail on wet pavement. I pull a face, and she grins back. She can't help it. Are you scared of that? She doesn't reply straight away. I can hear the clock ticking as we sit on her bed in silence. I mean, you have to face your fears, don't you? So I hear. You have to face your fears, don't you? So I hear. Isn't that what we're doing? Do you? Isn't that what we're doing? Well, yeah, but... She trails off for a moment, lost for what to say. She stands up and turns to face me. I've got a date. I raise my eyebrows in surprise. A date? She shrugs. It doesn't come across as nonchalant, so much as evasive. That's what this has all been for, right? Guess it must be working. You let me see how it feels to be comfortable in your own skin, and I put it into practice. Is it the guy you mentioned before? She nods and holds my gaze defiantly, as if she's waiting for some criticism. I don't have anything to say. But just for a moment, I can feel it, as sharp as ice. I feel angry and bitter and broken that Winter has found more in our hookups than I have. That she's going to outpace me and leave me on my own. That this isn't a respite for me. It's not healing me. It's not helping. I feel something cold wrap around my hands as my shadow comes in closer to hug me, embrace me. Winter's eyes widen very slightly. And I just realized what I could do to her. In a moment, in a sentence or two, I could crush whatever tiny ember of confidence she's trying to keep alive. Tell her that everything she's begged me for will never work, as if she could really learn to be comfortable from me, learn to love herself from me, when I can't even keep all of myself together. But I know the urge is terrible, some monstrous thought that's gone as quickly as it came. I'm not angry at her, really, just me. So I find the words. Good for you. Act 3. This is what I noticed. So I didn't record that much long. My phone drags me out of stupor as it rings. It's nearly midnight and my tea has gone cold, forgotten as I drift off. God, I don't want to talk to her. Not tonight. But it's nearly midnight and Winter's calling me. I answer the phone. Hello? The son on the other end of the line is crying. Winter, are you okay? There's a pause, and she lets out a shaking breath. No, can I come over? Winter huddles at the end of my bed, her legs drawn up to her chest. I place a glass next to her and join her on the bed, near but not close. Sorry, it's this. All I've got is cheap vodka. Winter next in one, her shoulders hunch up as she makes a face, and she stares down at the empty glass in her hands and talks. So I listen. I went to see the boy, finally, like I said. We had food and some drinks, and he seemed nice, interested, you know? He listened to me. It felt really good to get that attention, and I liked him. And I liked him. I don't know. What happened? Winter swallows. We went back to my flat, and we started to make out. It felt so good at first to be desired. I felt confident. And he was so complimentary. I thought it meant I was attractive. I thought I could live with it, if that's how it felt. Go on. But it felt wrong, gradually. Like he was no longer seeing the person I'd been earlier, talking and flirting and being human, you know? It felt like he was just looking at me and seeing a trans girl, an archetype. No, that's too kind of word. A kind of meat that he liked. And I wondered if he'd ever seen me as anything different. Did he hurt you? No, nothing like that, but I thought maybe I just had to endure it. This is just how it feels, right? I hated it more and more as it went on, but I couldn't tear myself away in case I stopped just before it suddenly started to feel right. But it never did feel right, it never did, and when he finally finished, he couldn't even look at me. He didn't look at me the same, even when he left, like there was a distance, or like it was an act. Touch her shoulder. I reach out and touch her shoulder. Winter flinches a little, but doesn't push my hand away. You deserve better, Winter. She sniffs and looks at my face for a moment. I can still feel his hands on me, like a drop of dye in water. She grabs my hand suddenly. Can you drown him out for me, Meredith? Meredith? She looks down for a second, and somehow I can tell she's blushing. Being sincere, using your proper name felt right. Look, just... She pulls me towards her by the arm. Her grip is soft and bitterly cold, but it's comforting too. And when my hand reaches her skin... Have I ever actually touched her like this? I can feel my shadow stir next to me, remembering. If I have to keep feeling someone's hands on me, I won't mind if it's you, Red. I don't want to believe you see me the same way he did. I couldn't. I don't. Help me forget then, please. I'll tell you what to do, what he did, just like the other times, like I did for you. My shadow guides my hands to her neck, and I don't fight it, which twitches at my fingertips brush her skin, willing herself to stay still. He started with my blouse. Take it off. Winter's hands join my own, working with mine to shrug off her blouse. Her skin is so smooth. Out of the corner of my eye, I see her look at my face, watching me, waiting. You're pretty. You've never shown me before. Red. Wait. I look up at her, waiting for some kind of sign that it's okay. Please. Touch her stomach. I let my fingers drop to her stomach, tracing them along her side. Where I touch her, Winter instinctively moves away as if I pushed. She makes a squashed little noise and closes her eyes. It feels strange to lead this dance. My shadow wraps itself around me, its hands on the back of my own. I can feel its heart beating through me. I will think about how Winter did this before, my shadow. I wonder if that's how she wants me to act, or... How did he touch you? She takes a deep breath, recounting. He had rough hands. They'd never stayed in one place long enough to get used to. Nothing like Winter's. Is there somewhere else you want me to touch you? Winter hesitates. Without saying anything, she takes my hand between both of hers and guides it to her neck. I run my thumb along the line where the skin turns to bone. Her breath catches as my fingers trace up her jaw and come to rest on her cheekbone. You're warm. You know how your shadow felt? Like a real person, soft to the touch. She raises her own hand to touch my face in return, her thin fingers mirroring mine on her cheek. Then she shifts her hand to my shadow instead, watching over my shoulder, and touches his cheek. I feel the fuzzy impression of it again, like static. It feels familiar. Do you think it's really part of us, or is your shadow in my face just some kind of delusion? Winter tugs the shadow by the collar, and I fall forward with it, pinning her to the bed. She takes my hand and hesitantly guides it back to her neck. I oblige. She covers her eyes with the back of her hand. I never know if people can't see my skull or if they just don't care. Would it be so bad if they couldn't? She peeks through her fingers at me. I've never seen her so fragile. I'm scared of someone being attracted to just part of me. To that part of me. Like I might ruin myself by revealing that I'm human too. And it's too much to bear for both of us. You're not ruining yourself. They might love you for it. You'd be vulnerable. Yeah, but that's okay. You can be that. She's staring at me, wordless. I'm giving you that permission, Winter. She laughs bitterly. Can't believe you use my words against me. That's not how this works. I can force it if you want. I feel her tense beneath me. Show me then. Prove it. She moves her hand away and I meet her gaze. It feels like I'm falling. A bird losing its feathers as it tumbles through the sky. Winter wants the dark part of me and I want hers. It's a delusion, my shadow in your skull. Then it's one that feels real to both of us. She grasps my hand gently again and guides it higher to her eye socket. If it's a delusion, what did you say just now? Would that be so bad? Act 4. I can hear Winter's breathing next to me and I realize I'm awake. I open my eyes and the two of us are in my bed still. She's asleep facing away from me, slightly curled up. And as I start to rise, I realize I can see her face. Everything feels at peace. I sit there quietly for a few minutes, watching her sleep. It's just the two of us. For the first time, I can't feel my shadow behind me, watching. It's as if I've carried a backpack for so long I forgot, and then finally took it off. It feels light. When I eventually get up, Winter doesn't stir, but as the kettle boils, I hear her. Red? I call back and return with 2 mugs of coffee. Winter is sitting, rubbing her eye sockets, her skull once again staring back at me. She's smiling. I don't say anything. When her blouse has fallen open, I can see the bruises on her neck, and my stomach twists a little, satisfaction against guilt. When I pass her the mug of coffee, my shadow is right back again, cradling my arm like a splint. It doesn't feel as heavy anymore. Winter, a game by Freya Campbell and Elliot Harriman. Writing, art, music. Additional coding. Yes, be kind to yourselves. Oh, okay. That was nice. It was a little short, but that's fine, because it's nice to have a little short story sometimes, and it really got into the emotions of, like, feeling vulnerable and being scared to feel vulnerable, and both sides of that, feeling scared to be attracted to people, to I don't know. It's scary because you don't want to, and I felt this from the opposite way where because I'm not a trans woman, I'm trans mask, but it's still like, I don't want to seem like I'm attracted to someone just because of their body or something like that. I don't want to seem like that kind of person. And on the other hand, it's also being vulnerable and letting yourself feel attractive, letting yourself like believe that someone is attracted to you, especially as a trans person. It gets so like muddy and terrifying. Like they said, it's the mortifying ordeal of being known, and I've definitely felt both sides of this. And this was a really nice story. I really got into those feelings very well. But that is all the time that I have for you today, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video.
Bye!